Alright, so hi guys, I'm Divya. I just want to give a little sort of disclaimer before I start. This is my story about how I got into medicine. So it's really quite different to the sort of more traditional, yeah, I'm going to finish, like, do really well in my ATAR, get a good UMAT, you got an interview at UNSW, yeah, straight into medicine. I didn't follow that path. And what you need to remember is that a large majority of medical students don't get in through the traditional path. One of my closest friends spent 2 years in the Singapore military doing his national service before he came to UNSW to do medicine. Another one of my friends worked in a vineyard for 2 years, making wine before she decided to move to Sydney to study medicine at UNSW. So yeah, your journey might be really, straightforward, but it might not be. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into how my journey all started. And so the really important thing to do when you're, talking about journeys is to ask who you are. And so I think particularly with the HSC, there's a really big process of self-learning and self-discovery. And so yeah, this is sort of different parts of my life. This was at UNSW Pub Crawl, our main event for the year. This was at UNSW Med Show, the Incision of Oz, where I was playing a munchkin, and just a couple of really close friends in my life. So just to give you a little bit of information about who I am, I graduated from Sydney Girls High School in 2010. I'm 20, I'm in my second year of my MBBS, and I'm a junior maths tutor, so if any of you are in junior school, I'm probably going to be your tutor at Strathfield. So, moving on now. I just wanted to get really stuck into it. So the subjects that I did in year 12 were as follows. But I really want to emphasize that when you're picking your subjects for year 12, don't pick subjects just because you think they're going to scale well or because you feel like that's what's going to get you into medicine. At UNSW, there are no prerequisites for getting into medicine. If you don't study chemistry, they don't mind. If you don't study biology, they honestly don't mind. The only exception to this is if you were applying to, say, Monash in Melbourne, they do have a prerequisite for chemistry. But that is honestly it. There are no other prerequisites. So please do subjects that you are actually passionate about. Okay, you're going to be studying these courses over a period of 12 months. Make sure that you really want to do it. And as it goes through the year, the subjects are only going to be getting more difficult. So you want to be really making sure that you enjoy them. Okay? You need to remember that year 12 is all about you. Okay? Don't be sort of fazed by, what your friends may be doing or what you feel like you need to be doing or, even parental expectations. Really make sure that you are achieving your personal best and that you are really putting in as much effort as you feel like you can do. Because honestly, in year 12, that's the last opportunity you get to really give it your all in that really protected school environment. So make sure you're really hitting home and trying your best. For example, with Maths Extension 2, I was actually ranked outside of the top 60 in my school. I was ranked about 75 to 80. At the end of year 12, I came first in Extension 2 Maths in my school. And I ended up getting 97 for my Extension 2 score. So really, I could never do that again. But at the point in time, I knew that I really need to work hard and I gave it my all. And see, honestly, that is what happens. When you really put in as much effort as you can, it does produce results. Don't think that I'm trying so hard, nothing is happening. It will all come to fruition. So guys, I can't emphasize, do your best, dream big, really think about what you want to do and where you want to go, and you can achieve it. All right, so this is sort of an overview of my life. We'll start off in Sydney Girls High School, 2010, year 12. So this is before I learnt that contact lenses existed, so I used to wear these really ugly glasses. But at Sydney Girls High School, part of studying there was also an essential part of being, I'll rephrase that, being at Sydney Girls was not only about studying, it was also about being part of every single aspect of school life. So I was a prefect, I was hockey captain, I played violin for 14 years, I did athletics and cross country and got to state level for athletics. I organised a community engagement program with a local nursing home. My house was getting renovated during the HSC, we didn't have a kitchen. So really a lot of things were going on during my HSC sort of life, but they were all so essential to me doing well. Like I couldn't have done as well as I did without having all these different aspects of my life. It really gave me a balance. And during the UNSW interview, just putting it out there, it gave me something to really talk about passionately. When you go to do an interview process, it's really very much similar to a job interview. Well, the UNSW one is anyway. They ask about you. They don't ask about, oh, so what did you get in your Extension 2 maths exam? They don't care. They're asking about, you know, what you're passionate about, where you see yourself, and when you've worked in a team or a sort of leadership environment. Those are the type of questions they're asking you, just like they would ask in a normal job interview. So you really need to try and prove to them that, look, I am an all-rounder. I do have these skills that are essential to being a doctor. So these are the sort of things that I did to really not only prove that, but just to enjoy my school life to the fullest. So yeah, do as much as you can. All right, so this was a photo taken at my schoolies after I finished year 12. So I'd studied really, really hard, you know, did my UMAT, everything, like done, finished off school, and I was at schoolies enjoying myself, okay? The reason I've got this photo here is because this was an actual turning point in my life. The turning point was because I found out that I'd gotten an ATAR of 99.9. I did absolutely terribly in my UMAT. I got about 52. And I had no interview offers from any university in New South Wales. So I was really like, oh my God, all this effort put in, everything I've done has now resulted in me not even getting into what I want to do. And so this was a turning point for me because I really had to think about what was I going to do? Where was I going to go? I have, you know, I'm technically supposed to be starting uni next year. Like, what am I doing? And so the advice I wish I'd given to myself was always have a contingency plan. At UNSW, over 1,000 people apply for 270 undergraduate spots, which of about, I don't know, I think 90 go to rural students. So if you're a rural student, get on that rural access scheme. It's a really sort of good way for you to show that you have rural experience and to get a different sort of entrance path. But apart from that, for everyone who's just a normal Sydney undergraduate student, it's really damn competitive. And there is a very high chance that in reality, you might not get in. So you really need to think about, you know, what can I do if I don't get into this degree? Where will I go? There's no point sort of just being like, I didn't get in, I'm just gonna sit at home and cry. Like you can do that for say the first 2 weeks, but like after that, you really need to be like, okay, get myself together. What am I gonna do? So you need to have some sort of contingency plan. And that really ties in with picking something, you know, that you feel might allow you to enter into that degree eventually. So for example, what one of my really good friends did, she didn't get in the first time, so she studied medical science at UNSW and she got in the next year after reapplying. And it really gave her such an advantage in her first year of medicine because she already had this foundational knowledge that she'd learned in her first year of medical science. Also, do not be disappointed, okay? Like I'm just using myself as a prime example. I was so proud of everything that I achieved, but I was really down after I realized that I didn't get in. And at the end of the day, I had to realize, you know what, I did try my best. But you know, the system, you know, I didn't get through the system, but that's okay. I still did my best and I am proud of that. So really don't be disappointed. Don't do the whole, what if I had done this, or what if I hadn't, like, you know, eaten dinner at that hour and studied for another 5 minutes. Like, don't think about that. Just look ahead and keep strong, okay? Friends and familiar support is really important during a time like this because there are going to be many times in our lives, you know, that you will, you know, might not achieve something straight away or something might not go to plan, and you really need to have your friends and family to fall back on. Also, I really recommend listening to Prema's presentation that's going to be later on today because she talks about the advantages of taking a gap year. So a gap year sometimes sort of has that stigma of, you know, oh, you know, people are too lazy to go to uni, they just go on this gap year. Just giving a shout out in terms of medicine, taking a gap year can actually be very strategic because if you take a gap year, you count as a high school leaver, which means that you can apply to a lot more universities. They treat you as if you're just a year 12 student. If you start up university studies, you're no longer counted as a high school graduate and you're counted as a university student, and you can only apply to the New South Wales ones. You're excluded out of Queensland, excluded out of Melbourne, and you're excluded out of Adelaide and Western Australia. Only New South Wales unis, medical schools, allow you to have studied some sort of course and then apply again. So really, taking a gap year with medicine, 1, gives you that advantage to still be a high school leaver. 2, allows you to restudy for your UMAT if that's what lets you down. And 3, it just allows you to enjoy life a little bit more. You know, work, get your perspective on things, and really decide if you want to do medicine or not. It gives you that time. So yeah, I highly recommend talking to Prema. Anyway, so I didn't listen to that advice at all, and I did the complete opposite. I started up an arts law degree at UNSW in 2011. So this was a photograph taken at one of the first events that I ever went to with law, and that was at the UNSW law camp. So after I found out about my ATAR, I got a call from UNSW being like, look, because of your ATAR, you've gotten an automatic scholarship to do any course you want to do at UNSW. You've got law on one of your selections, so why don't you do law? And because I was just, I was so, upset of obviously not getting into medicine, was really didn't really know anymore what I wanted to do. I was like, look, I'm going to give it a go. I don't think I'm personally motivated enough to do a gap year. I'm just going to do it. And honestly, it was one of the best years of my life. So with law really taught me to think critically. It brought me places that I'd never thought I would go before. It introduced me to a lot of co-curricular things on campus, such as Model United Nations. So this was at a conference we went to in Canberra at the High Court. And it really introduced me to what university life was all about. And if anything, it strengthened my desire to do medicine even more. Because by doing all these amazing programs and meeting all these amazing people, I really discovered that I wanted to engage with the community. And that was a turning point for me. I realized that, I actually want to make a practical difference to the community, whether it be on a local level or on a broader scale, but this is what I want to do. I want to work for institutions like AusAid, for Doctors Without Borders, in diplomacy somehow, or even with the World Health Organization as part of the United Nations. I knew that was what I wanted to do, but I would have only known that if I had done my law degree and taken that sort of sidetrack and experienced that. And so also as part of my first year of law, I got involved with everything on campus. I did debating, I did community engagement, I did mooting, I did negotiation. I went to every single university social event. I threw myself into university life, and I can't emphasize that enough. People sometimes find the transition from high school to university difficult because they feel fear, they feel scared about being judged. Don't be afraid, guys. Throw yourselves into it and you will enjoy it so much more. So this, you can't really see the photo, but I actually, in my first year of law, got the opportunity to go to a Harvard World Model United Nations competition in Vancouver, and that was an amazing experience. And again, it was only because I had taken this time off to do something completely different. But then things got real. My dad, at the start of the year, knew that I really, was disappointed that I hadn't got into medicine, and he sort of said to me, Divya, why don't you just, resit the MIGUMAT? It doesn't really matter. Just take your time to do it. There's absolutely, you know that there's no pressure from us. Sit it, wait for your results to come back and just see what happens. Because I know that in your heart of hearts, that's what you want to do. And I was like, oh, okay, I might as well do it. I'll do it. I ended up getting 82, which again isn't a flash hot sort of UMAT score. But because I had performed so strongly in my first year of arts law, my WAM was really good. My WAM was about a high distinction. And for all of you that, say, don't get into medicine the first time and decide to take on university studies, you need to be really careful that you're picking something that you enjoy, because at UNSW anyway, the score you get studying your university course, so say for example you get about an 85, a high distinction, that's all good because it doesn't have an impact on your ATAR. But say if you're failing subjects or you're getting really low credits, it actually works on a sliding scale and it ends up evening out your ATAR. So even if you got 99 point a million, but you end up getting 52 for some of your subjects, it ends up balancing out to about a 94, 95. So really, at the end of the day, if you decide to go into university studies but want to end up going back into medicine, you need to be performing strongly. And I could only have done that because I was doing my arts law degree, which was something that I ended up being really passionate about, okay? And so I did end up getting a UNSW interview. I was really surprised, but because my WAM and my ATAR combined still evened out, I was able to do that. And so I had to ask myself, am I ready to go, do I want to do this? Do I really want to enter back into something that I thought that I had left behind or that I wasn't capable of getting into? And so literally one night, 2 a.m. in the morning, it was literally the hour before I had to decide, okay, I had to allocate my time slot or something, and UNSW were like, okay, your interview offer is going to lapse if you don't put in your times. And so I literally sat down with my dad in the wee hours of morning and with my mum as well, and I literally wrote down on a tiny little post-it like this, the pros and cons of doing medicine. And that's what I had to do, and I needed them, and I can't thank my parents enough for helping me rationalize this process. I had to ask myself, am I helping the community? I had known from my arts law degree that that is what I was passionate about. Was I helping the community more by doing medicine or doing law? Was I capable enough? with medicine, the hours are about triple the amount you get with an arts law or a normal arts degree. Was I really going to be able to handle doing all those hours? Was I able to, was I capable of working in a hospital environment? Was I able to work in a team? I had to think internally about myself, but at the same time look at the broader picture of where I was going. I was actually on a scholarship. I was on a $10,000 a year scholarship with my law degree. Was I really going to give up, $60,000 of which was going towards my law degree to do medicine? And in actual fact, I did. I gave it all up. Also, I asked myself, was this really going to make me happy? We in the media, we see there are a lot of doctors' shows on TV. There's House, there's Grey's Anatomy, and at the end of the day, they show, those really passionate doctors being like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Grey's Anatomy, all that, it's completely different to what it's actually like to be in a hospital. And so I really need to ask myself, although the media is presenting to me that medicine is going to make me happy, will medicine actually make me happy? So I really had to think about that. I'd be taking an extra year because I had started off in an arts law degree. Did I want to do that? And yeah, could I handle the workload? But at the end of the day, something that my dad said to me, and I will always remember, is, Divya, once you make this decision, the key is don't look back. Do it and don't look back, and you will never, ever regret anything you do in your life. And I was like, you know what, you're exactly right. And so I was lucky enough in 2012 to start off at UNSW, the class of 2017. I got an unbonded Commonwealth supported spot, so it doesn't mean I need to go rural, but I think I will go rural after my degree. But yeah, I got in the first round of offers. And so this is where my whole medicine journey started. So Emily and I are the socials directors at UNSW. We organise all the social events for the students, medical students on campus, and this is one of our first events of the year, which was the pub crawl, as I was showing you before. And all these kids in the lab coats, apart from Emily, also mind the swear words on her collars, but all the ones in the lab coats are first year students. And so that's the really great thing about medicine. There is integration amongst the year. There's such a cohort vibe. People feel proud to go to UNSW and study medicine, and it really has such a good vibe. So I just want to talk a little bit more now about the realities of medicine. So again, this is our annual production med show, and yeah, everyone had a different part, and it was based on The Wizard of Oz, and it was really great, and it happened last year in September. So the reality about medicine is that it is damn hard. I can't emphasize that enough. It is a really tough degree. Okay, you're doing sometimes about 36 hours a week. You're doing pracs, you're doing anatomy, and it's because it's integrated learning. You could be learning 12 different subjects across 1 week, and sometimes they're not even that related. Like it could be anatomy of the nose, but then it's like, hello, like pulmonary edema. Like it's really sometimes not related, but at the same time, when you learn it all together, it all makes sense. Okay, but you really need to be motivated to do it, and and also just learn to handle your workload, prioritize your time. Can't emphasize that enough. Get involved with everything. The awesome thing about being a medical student is that you're not only studying, but the medical society on campus provides you with opportunities to look into specialities you might want to do. For example, one of my best mates is the president of NeuroSoc. So they bring in neurosurgeons like Charlie Teo and things like that to come and speak to us, to be like, look, if you guys want to go into neurosurgery, this is how you do it. There are things called grand rounds where we get to do suturing and things like that. And you only get that by being part of being a medical student, which I find amazing. Also, another reality check, it is possible to change. I had to change. I was doing an arts law degree, which I thought I loved, but in reality, I had always in the back of my mind wanted to do this medical degree, and I was willing to change, okay? So don't feel university is the one time where you can change your path with no one giving a monkey's butt. No one cares, okay? If you want to change your path, do it if that is what you are passionate about. Okay? And also, just to debunk another myth, you don't need to know what you want to specialize in. You work that out, another 10 years down the path where you're in the hospitals, and then they ask you, so Divya, what do you want to specialize in? You work that out ages and ages and ages later. So don't worry about not knowing what to specialize in. All right, so, and also don't look back. Again, can't emphasize that enough. So I guess I just want to wrap up today by saying that this was my story. My story is quite different to, again, like I was saying, the traditional, just getting straight out of high school and getting into medicine straight away. But honestly, it really enriched my experience. And I've sort of got this here to say that your journeys will all be really different and really varied too. But yeah, just be aware that it will make you a better, stronger person. Yeah, and that's all I have to say. So thank you, guys. Are there any questions? Yeah, so with the UMAT, I think the way they plan it is really evil, and I'm sort of angry at ASA that they do it like this. They make the UMAT smack bang in the middle of your HSC year. That is when you're the most stressed. Like, I didn't sleep before my UMAT exam because I was like, oh my God, I need to do like past papers. Like, I was not in the right mental state, I think, at that point in time to be doing it. But the thing is, like, the UMAT is really hit and miss. And those sort of those screening processes are necessary. Like, I didn't get through the first time, but I got through the second time. So just with the UMAT, you've really just got to practice as much as you can. Like, buy the practice papers that they have online, but also just be in a really good mental state when you're going into that exam, because I think that makes a hell of a lot of difference. It's split into 3 sections, so it's like the problem solving, I can't even remember now, it's like comprehension, problem solving, and interpersonal questions. So they'll give you a scenario and they're like, how do you think this doctor feels? So that's the sort of questions I'll ask. But yeah, that's all going to be on the ASA UMAT website. So definitely direct you there to have a look at that. Yeah. ATAR, WAM, UMAT interview. Interview is really important at UNSW. For UNSW anyway, if you go to their website, they have a sliding scale. So they have one column says ATAR, the other column says UMAT. And that's telling you the ideal score, like the scores that they think for that year will give you an interview. Not get you a spot, get you an interview. So it might be like 99.95, 75, then 98.5, 80. So it's on a sliding scale. Obviously, the ideal world is where you get really good ATAR, really good UMAT. So yeah, then you get the interview straight away. Well, for me, I felt like with postgraduate, you need to sit the GAMSAT. Now the GAMSAT, like my mum has sat for the GAMSAT and she's a nurse and wanted to go into medicine, and it was hard. It's 6 hours, you're sitting on your butt, you're writing essay after essay after essay. It's really science-based and it's difficult. But it's difficult because instead of a degree being 6 years, it's 4 years. And so I've got quite a few friends who have taken the postgraduate pathway, and it's because they wanted to study something different before they headed into medicine. For example, one of my friends is studying linguistics, and that's because she really wants to enjoy that, enjoy her first 3 to 4 years of uni, and then go into something that she wants to do more. So she just wanted to enjoy her university life. So that could be one of the reasons. Another reason could be that you maybe want a more science foundation before you head into the postgraduate path. A lot of people do the science combination, sit the GAMSAT, and then go into postgrad medicine. So there's really a variety of reasons. I chose undergraduate because I just wanted to start the medicine straight away. I just wanted to do it straight off. Yeah. Off university studies, you're not treated the same as a high school leaver. If you take a gap year, because you're not studying anything, you're still treated as a high school leaver. So you can apply for those universities that allow for high school leavers. Is that clear? Weighted average mark. So it basically means, because for those of you who have been to university already, it's sort of like whether you get a high distinction, a credit, a pass, or conceded pass. So say, for example, if I'd gotten not so good, if I had done not very well in my HSC, I would have taken the postgraduate pathway. Because the awesome thing about the postgraduate pathway is that they only look at your university studies. So if you do, say, biomedical science and do really, really well, they don't care if your ATAR was 85 or 75. Just your... Yeah. Premise presentation is really going to make that more clear for you guys. So highly recommend, if you guys are thinking of other options, like postgraduate, watch Premise thing. She'll really explain that well. Fortunately, I can't. UNSW is extremely protective of their interview process. So I can't say any sort of structure and things like that. But I think a good way to sort of prepare for an interview would just be to reflect on yourself. Reflect on, what have I done that can prove to them that I'm going to be a good doctor? What can I do? Like what have I done in my high school life? It is scary. It is scary. It is scary. But at the end of the day, if you relax and be yourself and show the qualities that you have as a person, it shouldn't be too bad. Queensland, Griffith, I applied to Melbourne, I applied Adelaide, I applied everywhere. I really was passionate about doing it, and I didn't get any. That's what happens. That's what happens sometimes. All right, thank you so much for listening, guys.